Now, if you're unfamiliar with my Redstone for Noobs series, all it is I'm explaining redstone in the most simple way I possibly can. I try to keep it short and sweet, and I try to explain some complicated processes in a way that's easy to understand for most people. I mean, if I can understand it, chances are that you probably can too. So stay tuned. Welcome to Redstone for Noobs. I'm your instructor, Derps McGee, and rule number 1 is, don't be a derp like me. That is all. So if you could only pick one block, and it was going to be the most powerful block in all of Minecraft, what do you think it would be? Well, if you ask me, it's got to be water. Because water has just so many uses for it. I mean, this one little block here can do so much that it's just ridiculous. I mean, the uses of this block is pretty much unlimited. And by unlimited, I mean one of the easiest things you can do with it is make an unlimited water source just by using a little 3-block area. I mean, it's that easy, and now I have all the water I could ever want. It's just infinite, completely unlimited. I mean, that is probably some of the best resources out there. So you might be wondering, well, what's the use of having unlimited water? Well, it's pretty simple. So one of the unique things about water is that when you place it, one block will travel a total of 7 blocks. Now, this could be useful in a couple of different ways, but one of them you might think of initially is just for making a farm. You might do this to make a strip so that way you can farm up all your land and you only need 1 block of water. I mean, that's pretty useful on its own because now you've got food and everything else that you need. But there's some other cool stuff that you can do with water related to redstone. So when you first glance at this, you might think, oh, it's just a little slab and a little shroom light, no big deal. But if I place water here, yeah, that's kind of weird. But now look, when I take the water away, huh. So what do you think it is that causes that to happen? Well, I'm going to show you. It's actually just a simple circuit with an observer, and it's hidden with a sticky piston and a shroom light on top. So what's happening here is I'm actually using a trick by waterlogging some slabs. So you can use this for making all kinds of different little like hidden things. So what I do is I put the slab on top. You can't see in there because it's empty. But now we can place water on that block and it fires the redstone. So there's actually a lot of really cool things you can do with this, like if you wanted to make like a secret base or something like that. But slabs aren't the only blocks that can be waterlogged. So over here I have a whole bunch of different blocks that can be waterlogged. Each and every one of these, from fences to walls to trap doors to half slabs, hell, even stairs of all things. I mean, you see the sign? The sign's kind of important. You can also waterlog that. You can waterlog glass panes and even chests. So there's many different things you could use this for in redstone, not just for making little hidden things like this, but you could also use it for dispensing water using stairs, like this. Okay, so here's an example of how you could use a stair as a dispenser. Basically, you just put water in this little space here. You could also use slabs. And then when you use the sticky piston to move this block, what's gonna happen is it's gonna allow the water to flow. And then if you need to dispense it the other way, you just flick the lever and boom. So now you have a way to control water, and this could be useful for making like a cobblestone generator or something like that, or even just dispensing water. Maybe you have like an automatic crop farm. You could use this as a way to dispense that as well without having to have dispensers. So it's a very cheap method of doing it, and it's just one more reason why water is one of the best blocks in this game. But maybe you're more interested in the technical side of water and how it can help you with some of your builds, maybe even just making your base a little bit cooler. Well, let's take a look at some of these water elevators that we can make just using water and a couple extra pieces. So I'm going to use this floating house as an example, okay? Up here, it might be kind of neat. You could probably use ladders, but instead what we're going to do is we're going to make a water stream up there. Now, it's very simple to make a water stream. All you need is some kelp, a little bit of sand, some soul sand, and then when we do the opposite side, we'll use a magma block. So to demonstrate this, we're going to put sand down at the bottom. We're going to go all the way up to the top, and at the very top block, what we're going to do is we're going to place the water up there. That should flow all the way down, and then we're just going to need to put some kelp in here. Now, all that kelp's doing is it's making source blocks, so it's literally turning, instead of having to lay hundreds of, source blocks, we can do it with just 1 block and then use kelp to create the rest. So all we do is go down to the bottom and break the stem. The whole thing breaks. We can take all of this stuff if we need to. And luckily we have these doors here to hold the water back. So once we get that done, all we got to do is get rid of the sand, drop in some soul sand, and we should be good to go. So that solves our situation for getting up, but now we're up in our treehouse, and we don't really have an easy way down. So that's where you have two options here. You can either use water to make a water, I guess, elevator that goes down, or you can use water as a drop chute. Now, me personally, I prefer the drop chute method because it's a lot faster, but I'll show you how to do the magma trick as well. All you do is place water just like you did on the other one, come down to the bottom, place sand and then a bunch of kelp up, that way you get all your source blocks. And then once you have them all the way up, you go back down, break the blocks, and then now you can place your magma block. Now that the magma's there, you're going to see these little bubbles, but also it's going to start dragging everything down. Okay, so I just changed it to survival mode to demonstrate how this is going to work. So this is the one downside of using magma, is that when you come down here, it'll burn you unless if you hold shift. Now, you'll never suffocate because these air bubbles, they provide oxygen, so you'll be fine. But it's also kind of slow. But if you really want to, you can do this because it looks kind of cool. You can have an elevator up and an elevator down. But this is my favorite kind of way down, and that's just using the drop chute. So the beauty of the drop chute is that you could be up here super high and fall all this way and still be okay. The big thing is you just need to kind of protect yourself. You could build a big tube around it to make it safer, but it's very fast. It's going to be much quicker than this, but sometimes this is just a cool factor. It's kind of nice to have. So those are the different types of things you can do with water in relation to elevators. But let me show you something that's kind of neat that you can do with water if you're trying to build down. So sometimes we find ourselves on a ledge and we need to find a way to build ourselves out of here. So one of the tricks to doing this is using water. So what I'm going to do to demonstrate this is I'm going to place one water bucket up here. And now let's say we need to build down or build below us. We'll come over here and ride the water, and then you can get below it and you could start building down. So this is a neat little trick if you're not expecting it. Maybe you haven't seen this done before. It's kind of good because then what you can do is now, look, I've got a new platform. I can come up here, scoop this water, and now I could start building my next platform out right here. So that's kind of a neat way to go and start building down if you really need to. So something else you got to look at is the behavior of water when you're trying to make it fall. Now, you can predict this behavior by using something like this, where you dig out a hole and then you can make it go into the one spot. Or if you have it flow the wrong way, you can actually direct it into a stream. So this might be useful if you're trying to make like an item sorter or something like that. So for instance, here when we drop the water, you'll notice it just does one stream. It goes all the way down and stops in that hole. Okay, so that's a good way for it to go. Now let's say we just tossed it off the side here, and then we just let it roll and it didn't go into a hole. It's going to spread, and it's going to try to find the nearest hole that it has. So that's kind of the behavior of how water works. If there was no holes around, it would just kind of spread all over the place. So here's an example of how water flows when it's just by itself. It'll flow a total of 7 blocks out from each corner, and it just kind of flows into this little diamond shape. Now, this could be useful for making different farms, mob farms, stuff like that, for using different dispensers, for maybe moving things along. So this is a good thing to know if you're ever trying to build something. This is the way that it's going to do it. This is the max range of 1 drop of water. So now that we have this predicted, let's see what happens when we put it here. So we put it in the corner here, and you'll see that it goes down and it just flows all the way out. So this is 7 blocks. So you could use this potentially if you needed to for making a drop and then maybe moving somewhere else. So yeah, that's kind of how water works when it's trying to fall in. It just kind of goes towards the path of least resistance and it's trying to find a way out. Okay, so you might be wondering now, okay, so how do I apply this? So I'm going to show you one of the more common ways that water streams are used, by using item streams. So the most common way to set this up is by using some sort of block in like a tube fashion, and then usually some form of packed ice or blue ice or even regular ice as long as it's not going to melt. And then some sort of fence gate. You could use signs, you could use anything like that to help block the water off and keep it flowing. Since we now know how it's going to flow, we know it's going to go this way for 7 blocks and then stop. Now, the reason this one got put short is because I want to go around a corner. So if I place it there, it's going to change the direction. We can do the same thing on this one and so on and so forth until we eventually get one giant circle. So this way we can demonstrate how this works. We'll do this. Now what I can do is I can toss in some items and show how they'll just continually go around in here. It's just going to go, go, go. Now obviously you could change where this is and where it goes depending on how you have your sorter set up or how you want to move items around. But this basically gives a good example of how that would work. So now you can do a lot more with these water streams besides elevators and item sorters. You can also use it to make redstone clocks using literally just a boat and some pressure plates. Let me show you. So if we come over here, I'm gonna grab the boat real quick and show you. The way that this works is I've got it set up to where we're gonna just use these little dispensers here to demonstrate how it works. I've got literally just pressure plates sitting on the side on one side, whereas the other side's open, because pressure plates will help keep the water at bay, kind of like how the fence gates do. The difference is that these wooden pressure plates are going to allow the item to travel on it. So what that does is when the boat goes through, it's able to travel while still setting off these pressure plates. So we're just going to fill up these corners real quick. Now, obviously, if you want this to be longer or shorter, you just make it bigger or smaller. So all we got to do is we're going to put a boat up here, and then it's going to flow. And once it hits the pressure plate, boom, it works. And it's just going to keep going around and around and setting off all of these things at the same time. Now, we can obviously space this out, but this is a very simple clock that you can make using hardly any redstone. And it doesn't have to be dispensers. You could use this for pistons. You could use it for any number of things, even just opening and closing doors. Really, whatever you want. And, I mean, fireworks are just awesome. Let's be real here. But I'm going to show you one of the things that you don't want to do with water. So here's one of the worst things that you can do with water. Let's say that you've got this nice little redstone circuit set up. You've been working on it for hours. Took you forever to figure out how to do this. You finally get it to work. Look at that. Oh, man, it's beautiful, right? Everything's good. You got your nice little firework and everything. And now you're like, okay, I just need to go ahead and shut this thing off. And oh, there it all goes. And now your whole circuit's gone. So if you're ever working with redstone, don't ever have water in your hotbar, because it will just make a mess of everything, and it's just not fun having to go back and rebuild things because you accidentally clicked this just one time. Yeah, don't do that. Not good. But you might be saying to yourself, well, water's useless in the Nether. Well, let me show you a trick and prove that it's not that useless in the Nether. So normally when you're in the Nether and you go to use it, it just evaporates. It just sizzles and disappears, right? Well, let me show you a trick that makes it not disappear at all. If you're unaware, if you have a cauldron, you can place water in the cauldron in the Nether, and it's fine. Alright, so if you've watched my Surviving Minecraft at all, you know I die a lot. So let me demonstrate just how this works in the Nether. So if I'm here and I'm burning, oh my goodness, I'm dying. Guess what? I walk on here, the level goes down just a little bit, and now I'm fine. So you can have water in the Nether, believe it or not. But let's assume that you don't want to use water, and maybe you just want to use this lava. Well, let me demonstrate how it works here. So one downside of lava is that you can't create infinite lava. You have to have one bucket for each one. So, like, I can't scoop the middle. I have to scoop the sides and scoop that one in order to make it disappear. So there is no infinite water source, or infinite lava source, I should say. And same thing with lava. You can't place lava in these blocks. It will not go inside them like water will. So there's another win for water. So one interesting thing about lava is that it can be used a lot like water, and that you can make lava streams, kind of like how you do water streams. Let me show you. So with lava, it works a lot the same way. It travels 7 blocks just like water. I'm going to use a pressure plate to stop it here, and then I can place lava again. And even though this is ice, because it's packed ice, it won't melt from the lava. So what we could do is, technically you don't want to be throwing regular items in there because it just burns. But if you have something like ancient debris or netherite, it will float, and it will just continue to move and go down into our little hopper here and get stored. So as you can see, that you can actually use this for transporting very specific, very niche things. But the other thing you can do is, like something what I'm trying to do, is make a blaze farm. And I was trying to find different ways that I could do it. Well, one of the ways you can do it is moving these guys using... Wow, they are so loud. Now, this is obviously not the most effective way to move blaze around, but if you're just looking for a cheap and easy way to do it, this is definitely a good way to do it. The only problem is you wouldn't want to kill them on top of the lava, because then you're not going to get any of the blaze rods. So if you're still not convinced with just how strong water is, I'm going to show you just how strong it is. Using this system that we built earlier, we're going to release the water, and it's going to go off into the system that we built. It's literally just these couple blocks here, and this piston is going to fire every time something's created. We're going to use a little bit of lava, and as it drops down, it's going to create cobblestone and automatically start pumping it out. I mean, this will just go on and on and on until it reaches the limit. is just going to keep going and going. It's going to hit the edge there, and boom. It'll create one, and then it can't push. So you could use this to basically mine an unbelievable number of cobblestone. I mean, you just go all the way through, and then once you pop this one, it'll reset, and boom. And it's just going to keep going constantly. So, yeah, water is definitely one of the strongest blocks in this game. This is kind of weird. Oh, okay, I guess we're trapped now. Anyway, so yeah, that's basically a lot of the water mechanics that you can use in Minecraft to do all kinds of different things. You can definitely use it in Redstone. You can use it for all kinds of things, even just for exploring, climbing up and down things, building elevators, you name it. That's why I think water is probably one of the most powerful blocks in this game. And I know I probably forgot a few things here and there, but you know what? I tried to cover as much as I could as quick as I could. So I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did enjoy this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe, because we're going to be having a lot more videos like this, as well as our Surviving Minecraft series where, well, we try to survive Minecraft. Very poorly, I might add. And also, let me know down in the comments what you want to see in the next Redstone for Noobs, and I'll be sure to get right on it. Have a great day.